Admit it. It was more fun coming out to the athletic club and watching with Jacob, me, Elena, Dan Dunn, instead of just staying home and watching games by yourself.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, people, how much of a pain in the ass it was to convince Steven to come out to watch games this weekend. He's in that stage of his life now, being married, where Jesse was all down to do it. He's like, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I love everybody, but, it's just when you're watching a 49er game and you're just hearing some person next to you, some 49er fan, yelling about how they're giving Christian McCaffrey too many carries, even though he's 100% healthy, or you're listening to Steelers fans and going back and watch that Steelers and Jets game, like, the Steelers really weren't that good. They didn't have much to cheer about, I don't think, besides the win, which I guess is ultimately what you want. And I know we'll get to that when we actually do like our little week one breakdown.
Yeah.
But also when I think about the money, Derek, spending a little extra quiche.
I hear you. I get it.
Yeah. Just to let you know how things went in the morning, I'm revealing a little bit here. This might be a little too much info, but when I woke up for work the next morning, to be quite honest, I just did not eat well all weekend. Like, I did not eat good at all. It was terrible.
Bound to happen the first weekend of football.
Had those wings at the bar, and then ended up eating what I ate when I got home. And oh God! And woke up the next morning, and the first words that you will have heard from Jesse is, "Oh my God, Steven, you woke me up with your fart."
Mm.
And it was the smell of the fart. It wasn't the sound of the fart, because they were all SBD all night. So maybe if I'm home, I'll be a little bit healthier and, maybe go for a walk, not drink as much beer.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Definitely last week.
Didn't drink enough to get belligerent and have to show up to work hungover the next morning, but definitely to the point where, you had the beer farts.
Yeah, no, especially with wings, that adds to the farts. Yeah. No, I will admit I haven't eaten healthy lately, but that's the price you pay when it comes to football. It's just 1 week, but then you figure it out. You get back into a routine again, but you always will, make football the priority. But it was good to celebrate football with the crew once again. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Tuesday night. Week one is already done. I can't believe it already. We're in the throes of the throes, whatever the hell you want to call it, the throes of the NFL season, Steven. We're off to week one. We already got injuries to talk about. The Raiders and 49ers win. We'll talk about every game from week one action. But let's start with the Raiders. And I know everybody in the chat's going to be like, ew, no, gross. Bear with us, everybody, okay? We're going to talk Raiders on this podcast, and we have been for the last 4 years we've been doing this. So we're going to talk Raiders, and then we'll bring everything up with the 49ers. There's a ton to get to with the 49ers. But let's start with the Raiders. Raiders get the win. You and I both picked this game in the Raiders' favor. They win 20-13 over the Patriots. And what a difference it makes to have a quarterback, because you and I talked about it all, the last 2 seasons when it came to Gardner Minshew and Jimmy Garoppolo. It was just poor quarterback play. Mm-hmm. So once they get Geno Smith, I was into it. I don't think it's the best quarterback situation they've had in quite some time. I thought Derek Carr was a better quarterback. But Geno could sling it. He throws for 362 yards, most in a Raiders debut, 24 of 34, 1 touchdown, 1 interception where he forced it, really. I didn't like that pick he threw.
Yeah.
But besides that, man, the offense looks pretty good. And Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer being a tight end combination. And Brock Bowers had a scare with that knee injury, but he stayed in the game. Ashton Genty, nothing really to write home about in his first game, but gets 38 yards and the touchdown. It was just really the threat of the run that opened everything up. The deep pass to Trey Tucker. I thought that Geno Smith, with the exception of the game, and explosive playmakers to Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton. Solid pass catchers in Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer to move the sticks. The defense came to play, 4 sacks in total, and you really want to see it from Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, and, of course, Trey Wilson. Him getting on the board in a week one game is really good going forward. Aggressive play calling, too, with the 4th-and-1 pass to Michael Mayer to get the first down. The
Mhm.
3rd-and-20 completion to Dante Thornton. They left some points on the board with there was a 3rd-and-1 where Ashton Genty tripped and could have got a big gain there. They probably could have won this game by 2 touchdowns, but in the end, it stayed competitive. The Patriots, like many teams in week 1, just kind of sluggish offensively. But I would say going into Foxborough, fighting like the same thing with the Raiders, where it was a high-profile coach coming to a new team. Pete Carroll versus Mike Vrabel. Got to say, I was pretty impressed with the Raiders' performance in week 1.
Listen, man, they battled the elements, and they went on the road and beat a Patriots team that supposedly is supposed to have a bounce-back season, and they might. And before we get to, because there's a lot to nitpick from it, but yeah, you start with Geno, dude. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to seeing them with a competent quarterback in a while, seeing Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell and then Gardner Minshew. I mean, they had 9 plays of at least 20 yards or more, which like tied a record, and they were just slinging it, man. And I think the thing with Geno is like, we knew Geno had that. He's really accurate when he's got a clean pocket. And he actually has a really great arm, but I'm not used to the quarterbacks making smart decisions after they make dumb ones. Feels like every time they make a dumb decision, it'd be just one on top of another. Yeah. It's like, hey, throw it at a cheerleader's feet. Hey, let's throw it into triple coverage. Hey, let's throw it out of bounds when we had an open receiver. No, this one, he sees his guy, he sees his target, and he's going to go for it. And I'm just not used to it. So that's nice. Obviously, the 362 yards, but dude, what was even more impressive to me though? Like, it was the difficulty of each catch that it felt like they were making. Like, there were definitely some nice throws on Geno's part, but you go Jacoby Myers, who had some huge first downs. It felt like Trey Tucker, who thought just got lost in the shuffle. I thought he was kind of just got buried in the roster after they drafted Jack Besh and Dante Thornton in the 2nd and the 4th round. I thought Trey Tucker just didn't really have a place on this team. I didn't know where he'd be. He played a huge role in it. And I don't even know what his stats looked like, but I just go back and watch his impact on the game, and it felt like Trey Tucker was always making these big-time catches. Obviously, there's the Brock Bauer factor, and he had the same catch down the sideline that we saw against the 49ers during the preseason. It looked the exact same. The one where he just kind of high pointed the ball and, full extension. Geno, just a perfect throw. And then Dante Thornton with that huge catch late in the 4th quarter. I thought the passing game was just awesome. Run game, little left to be desired there. Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that, and I think
not to say I've given up on it, and I'm not going to subscribe to the idea that the offensive line is going to be the downfall of Ashton Genty's rookie season, but it did not look very good in long yardage situations. Short yardage, he was great. Like, short yardage where he just needs to muscle his way through the defensive line, including that touchdown out of the shotgun where it seemed like nothing was there, and he still managed to fall into the end zone. And you already mentioned that trip that he had late in the game. It was just, poor turf, and he slipped on it. But, going back and watching it, it didn't seem like the offensive line really opened up a lane for him, except for in the beginning of the 1st quarter. And that was it. It didn't feel like he had any room to run at all. So despite all that, they still won. And the defense just looked phenomenal in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, give credit to the defense. It was a very low-scoring game. And, yeah, I was very impressed with the passing offense. I've said it before, but it was really apparent in week 1 that Al Davis would be a Geno Smith guy. Like, the way that he drops back and throws it deep. Trey Tucker and him are going to have electric plays this season. I could see Brock Bowers. I know I said today on Dirty Work that I would still say George Kittle is the best tight end in football just based on his past experiences, but Brock Bowers might be the best athlete at tight end right now, where I'm assuming he's going to lead all tight ends in receptions and receiving yards. Once Travis Kelce retires, he will be the best tight end in all of football, but of course in the AFC West. As far as the running game, yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of teams rushed effectively in week 1. I don't even know who rushed for over 100 yards, to be completely honest. And I'm thinking about it right now as far as like, oh, well, Derrick Henry, of course. But, you know, like it was very subpar rushing games across the board. So it'll take time for Ashton Jeanty to get acclimated to the NFL. But
I got one team that ran the ball real well, but that's coming on later on.
Okay. But yeah, as far as Jeanty, once he figures it out, I think this offense is going to be pretty formidable. And I know that it's not household names. I know it's not the offense that was on paper a few years ago with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller, but they got playmakers. This 2 tight end set might be the best they've had in quite some time. And yeah, I've talked about Trey Tucker. I know that it was a shame to not see Amari Cooper come back in the silver and black, but I think they're okay without him. I think that if Jacoby Myers could be your first down maker and Trey Tucker could be your explosive guy and Jack Besh could be the guy that could be your red zone threat, Dante Thornton also to be the explosive guy on the outside, they may have something here. And defensively, I was skittish about the secondary, but they played pretty well. Now, that may be just because Drake May was feeling some things out with, you know, new offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, and that's something we didn't even talk about prior to this game, Stephen, was just the storyline of Josh McDaniels playing the Raiders again. And, you know, they scored. They got the touchdown, but besides that, wasn't a ton. The defense shut him down. Who got the interception? It was his name. Polamalu. Isaiah Polamalu got the interception. Can't say it was an amazing day from the secondary, but just to get that interception's big. You know, Max Crosby doing Max Crosby things. It's great to see Trey Wilson get a sack already. So, yeah, man, once they figured out the running game with Jeanty, and I still have high expectations for him, I do think that the Raiders will be a competitive team. I don't know about playoffs. I know I said I predicted them to win 10 games, but I really do think that they will be a tough out for any team they face this season.
Dude, they will be. There's no doubt. You know, and yeah, the pass game was a little suspect, at least in the first half. It felt like Drake May was kind of doing whatever he wanted, but it felt like with the pressure that the defensive line was getting to May, along with the coverage, that was a mix of guys. Like I guess the one who stood out to me in the second, obviously Polamalu did, but Caillou Blue Kelly, who's kind of a newcomer. I forgot where he even came from. Like I don't even know if he's like a rookie or if he's just like a veteran free agent.
Yeah,
but he stood out in this one. He had a pass breakup, which was pretty great. But you mentioned this guy already. The Tyree Wilson factor. If Tyree Wilson can actually live up to the name of being that first round pick and that sack that he had, look, I think I did a whole like 15 minutes on how this term it sounds like an innuendo, honestly, when we say it. But like the get off, right? And the get off speed
he's
wasn't
got great
there.
Get off speed.
Great get off. The get off wasn't there at first for Wilson. I did a little bit on that. But it was in this game. And it looks like he's turned a bit of a corner. So I can't really wait to see what he does in the next one. So yeah, even though even though they didn't play a perfect game, I mean, they won. And also the guy that they brought back in the trade with the Eagles, the Jacorian Bennett trade, Thomas Booker, that defensive tackle. Yeah. Brian Baldinger did a whole Baldy's breakdowns on Thomas Booker, shouting him out. So I think they might have something there too.
Yeah, I mean, the whole defense played pretty well to hold the Patriots below 100 yards rushing. I mean, Henderson only 27 yards, Ramondre Stevenson only 15 yards. So, yeah, dude. I mean, I figured the defense would be pretty good with Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham coming back. But offensively, I did not know what to make of this team, and I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't like they were, gangbusters all day putting up 30-plus points, but it just shows that, Chip Kelly to me always seemed like a running type of coordinator back in the day where, he was running with Colin Kaepernick or any of his other teams with the Eagles. It was always primarily based on the running game. And this team will be a running team once Ashton Jeanty figures things out. But the fact that he's, going to more of a conventional offense and not a spread offense, but a quarterback that could drop back and throw it deep, I think that's pretty promising for Geno Smith and the Raiders in the offense. So, Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I got nothing bad to say. When you go into Foxborough, even if it is, post Bill Belichick, they go in there and play a very physical brand of football against a coach that's known for playing physical back in the day with the Tennessee Titans, and now he's in New England with Mike Vrabel. Yeah, I don't have a lot of bad things to say, man. I know it's not like
Yeah.
the best win of all time, but for a new era of Raider football with Pete Carroll, pretty impressed.
Yeah. But I do want to see that run game pick up a bit.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
as far as all the efficiency numbers, they're at the bottom of the league. If you look at all like the advanced metrics and all that, it's just week one,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's just 1 week. But if Pete Carroll's whole idea when he joined this team was that they were going to be physical, blah blah blah, they're going to be, have the defense like they did with the Legion of Boob, but they were also going to run the football. And if they're not able to do that effectively, then what next? And also, just a little nitpicky too, but the offensive line was not ready for the Patriots blitz. They didn't know how to handle it. Harold Landry ate the right side of the line up. Like he was just taking advantage. They were throwing stunts, they were throwing disguises, different fronts, and I don't think the Raiders offensive line was really equipped to handle it. So I'm curious to see what they look like going into this Monday Night Football game against what seems to be a very good Chargers team and a good defensive line that includes a Khalil Mack guy who just dominates them every time he plays them again. So, there are little things here and there, but they got the win. How can I be mad at that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing as far as a con with the game was the running game. Yeah, they need to improve that, and you expect Ashton Genty to be more effective, and it's going to be a process. He was used to running against, I don't know, people in the Mountain West or the teams that played in the Mountain West, and it's not anything, significant in that regard. I mean, he was pretty impressive against whatever teams, Oregon, or he had 100 yards over Penn State, but yeah, it's going to take some time, and hopefully it's sooner than later, but I do anticipate them being a very good running team. If that's the one thing they need to fix, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, they will be really tested against the Chargers. No doubt they will be. The Chargers look really good. They didn't look good running the football. I thought Mario Hampton would be more used more in that Friday night game against the Chiefs, but it was the passing game, and that's where I think the Raiders will be truly tested come next Monday night. It'll be great. Jim Harbaugh versus Pete Carroll, the What's Your Deal Bowl. A rivalry renewed when they face each other a ton, not only at college but in the pros with the Seahawks and the 49ers. So that'll be awesome. And yeah, you mentioned, Stephen, like Khalil Mack has always been a terror against the Raiders in recent years. So we'll see if the offensive line can hold in that game. And it goes back to our childhood because it's a true Monday night doubleheader where there'll be a game on earlier with the Buccaneers and Texans, and then the Raiders, for the West Coast audience, will be on at 7:00. And, I grew up with, as you did too, with them playing Monday night, week one, against the San Diego Chargers at the time, and them just getting the shit kicked out of them with Sean Merriman sacking Aaron Brooks and Andrew Walter. It felt like 12 times in a game. It's always felt like an embarrassment where the whole league would watch the Raiders on Monday night to open the season and just be dog shit. So hopefully it's a better outing, and hopefully the Raiders are competitive against what looks like a really good Chargers team.
I hate that the one thing that I remember from a Raiders-Chargers Monday night matchup is when they were wearing the throwbacks with the gray numbers at the gray lettering, and Jamarcus Russell was starting for them. And actually, I remember thinking, ooh, they might have something here. Then they lost.
Yeah, that was the one good Monday night doubleheader where they faced the Chargers. Most of them were shitty. I remember, that one in 2006 where Sean Merriman sacked Aaron Brooks 3 times. I think in total, the Chargers sacked Aaron Brooks like 12 times. There was the game where Jay Cutler threw all over the Raiders with Eddie Royal, his coming out party. There was the game where the Raiders, their long snapper got hurt, so they couldn't figure it out the rest of the game. It was just terrible. Like you just saw them just totally just whiffing on snaps. It was terrible. The only competitive game they ever had, from my memory, was that 2009 game where it looked like, what was his name? What was the receiver's name? Lewis Murphy. Where you thought he caught a touchdown, but it was ruled incomplete, and that's something my dad still is pissed off about this day because that was like along the lines of Calvin Johnson. Did he catch it or not? Des Bryant, did he catch it or not? it was just bullshit. And the Raiders had to ultimately lost that game, but it was just a terrible history of them losing those double headers. So yeah, the Raiders will have their work cut out for them, but I feel pretty good about their chances.
I do too, man. I'm feeling good about it. By the way, so in case anyone's wondering, I'm also, I don't know about you, but I'm keeping up with the Giants too, as the Mets lost and seeing the Giants up 3-0 right now. But my mom, who still like keeps in touch, because she was a librarian back in when I was in school, and she still keeps in touch with my elementary school's old librarian, right?
Okay.
From like when I was in like second grade. And I tweeted something about Gilbert, how the NBC Sports Bay Area crew always has like a Gilbert cam, and I'm very glad that they
Drew
do.
Gilbert,
dude's a psycho, right? In the best way possible. Something they needed, I guess. It's wild.
Dude, him chewing on, was it Robbie Ray last night? His sweat jacket?
Yeah.
And I will say, Drew Gilbert, energetic, and Matt Chapman choking him when telling him to calm down. He does whenever there's a big hit and he pats the gate or the bench. He does give me the vibes of the old clip of the guy ringing the bell at Texas A&M that looked like he was jerking off. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
See if you can find that video. The guy was ringing the bell so hard, but it looked like, his face, he was wincing at the same time and thrusting. Whenever Drew Gilbert does it, he does a little too much hip movement for my liking.
Derek, you're focused on the wrong things, but I'm not going to look up Texas A&M jerk off video. Sorry.
It's a great video, Steven. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's a great video.
Point being, so my mom called. I spoke on the phone with her earlier, and she says, "Hey, I just talked to Mrs. Griffin. That's her name." And she said she saw your Drew Gilbert post and thought it was really funny, or at least thought it was really good. And I'm like, "How?" Because I just figured it was through maybe I posted it on my Facebook story or something. I don't know. And I didn't. So I was like, "How does she have a Twitter?" I'm like, "No." And then I just get a message. Looks like one of these Facebook viral pages. I guess picked it up. It's called SF Giants Faithful. Derek, I'm a star now. How about it?
Look at you.
Look
at you, man. You've arrived. Hey, look at that. There's Steven.
And I got some dude who says, why don't you put a camera in the shower, you creep?
I didn't know where this was going to go, but I thought it was going to be you gloating that Laura Britt retweeted you saying, "Thank you for noticing our camera work."
No, she didn't say thank you for noticing the camera work. She said, "You're welcome."
Well, either way, okay, fine. I didn't get it down verbatim, Steven, but it was nice to get noticed by Laura Britt.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I was just like, production team. But anyway, no, it was cool. It was cool. But this guy's like, "Do you want a cam in the showers as well, freak?" And then Renee, he's a little over the top. 10 minutes of fame every night is a little much. Calm down. Tough.
No, you know what? He was getting a lot of attention today. Pat McAfee was talking about him. No, it's fun. He was on a nationally televised game last night. The game was on FS1. It's fun. Drew Gilbert, he's making things lively. I know they're leading right now. I hate to pour water on this thing. I don't think they're making the playoffs, but it's fun right now entertaining baseball.
It's fine if you don't, but they got a real shot, man. And whether you say, I'm not holding out hope that they're going to do anything in the postseason anyway, because I think their bullpen is very suspect, and you need the bullpen in the playoffs. But the fact that they're even here at this point, when we were talking about, we don't know what they need to do with this team. And it's interesting how people are saying they're winning and this is going to keep Bob Melvin around. Ugh. And it's like, well, maybe Bob Melvin's not such a bad manager if they're able to go on a run like this. And maybe it was just as simple as, hey, their offense just couldn't hit. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I hear you. We'll definitely talk more about the Giants, and if this time is more important than what was going on previously, and it should because it's closer to the postseason. But I still have my doubts. Even if they do ultimately get that third spot for a day or two, I don't know if they'll hold it. We'll see what happens against the Dodgers. That's where I think they'll be truly tested.
I don't know, man. Dodgers haven't been playing well if you've been paying attention.
Stop. Okay, they're still the Dodgers, though.
Okay, but that's not any evaluation, Derek. Have you been watching them? They haven't been very good lately.
Okay, but I want to see what happens. If they beat them, then they'd have a better chance.
Yo, for sure. I'm just saying it's not as much of a as challenge as you think it is right now. This isn't the same Dodgers team that they faced a while back.
Yeah, I know, but ultimately that will be a true test to me. Like I get it. They're playing the Diamondbacks. They're below 500. They played the St. Louis Cardinals over the weekend. Let's see how they handle the Dodgers. And ultimately, I know the Mets are losing. They are playing better teams. They played the Reds and they played the Phillies this week. So let's see what happens when the Mets actually play the Rangers and other teams that are not as good. So
Yeah.
I don't doubt that maybe the Giants catch them at some point, but I don't know if they'll maintain that third and final wild card spot.
That's fine.
All right. Speaking of challenges, I did ultimately lose head to head with Steven. I was leading for a while, gave Steven the option to change his pick on Monday night from the Bears to the Vikings. He declined, said he has integrity, but we did a tiebreaker of who's closer with the score. So Steven tied the game. I was up 25-24. Steven tied me by getting the over correct. I took the under, and then he had the score of 27-23. In the end, it was 27-24. I not only got the Bears victory wrong, but Steven got the over correct and the score correct. So with that, I have to do the hot sauce challenge, the first one of 2025. So Steven, let's get your thoughts on the 49ers win over the Seahawks while I break out the hot sauce. And shout out to our guy Van. Want to make a apology to him. Last podcast, I said that he was Hispanic. He told me today on the KNBR chat, not Hispanic. He's from Indonesia, so want to give him clarification on that.
That's cool.
And I asked him about that hot jerky he has. Says that he found it at the Prescott Market in Oakland, so maybe I go there for our hot sauce challenge and get some of that next time.
I think so.
All right.
I think so.
So with
Indonesia.
Indonesia, which was my old stopping ground for a little bit of time, visiting my aunt and her children. Okay, Steven, your thoughts on the 49ers 17-13 win over the Seahawks while I do this hot sauce.
Boy, gosh, it's unfortunate because I do think this is a good time to do the podcast, like the Tuesday after the Monday Night Football game. You still want to wait to react with everything, but it feels like so much has happened with the 49ers in the past 12 hours that it almost like erased what happened on Sunday. However, with that 49ers game, like I just thought they were the better team. The Seahawks clearly have a lot of work to do. Thought they would be a little bit more crisp on offense, and I thought their run game would have more of an impact on it. But I think in that capacity, you also have to credit the 49ers defense, and that was what was most impressive to me, kind of going back and watching it. Marquise Siegel's a player. Like, they got a stud, and who would have thunk it? John Lynch would be great at evaluating safeties who can hit. But it seems they got a stud pick there with Siegel. D. Winters, it reminds me kind of like a this is not an apt comparison because they're different positions, but kind of like a Jordan Love who was just in waiting to get his chance as a starter, because it looks like D. Winters belongs as a starter alongside Fred Warner. I thought he was a big part of stopping that run game. Bernardo Green made plays. Upton Stout had a little bit to be desired, and sure, the defensive tackles, Alfred Collins and CJ West, they didn't look all that great. I thought Michael Williams was fine, but it was just a gritty game, man. One of those grimy ones where it's just a question of who is going to make that one extra play. And even though the 49ers had the missed field goal by the now ex-49er Jake Moody, and the blocked field goal.
Yeah.
They were still able to pull out that win. And I think that's where I come down in week one for a lot of these games. Amid all the mistakes, kind of the rust, Brock Purdy's 2 interceptions, Brock Purdy not throwing to any other wide receiver except for Ricky Pearsall, and then once to Jawad Jennings, and then everyone else was either a tight end, a fullback, or a running back. Despite all of that, they were still able to win. And I think that says a lot about their character, a lot about where they've where they're at. And also, I think that final throw says a lot about Brock Purdy, because if it's any of these other quarterbacks that they've trotted out there in the past, and there haven't been that many before Brock Purdy, but if you're talking, I mean, we can go Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nate Sudfeld, Blaine. Who else am I missing? Who was the dude from Iowa State?
CJ Beathard
from Iowa. CJ Beathard. Like, none of those guys would have won that game in that situation. They probably would have been down, 17-16, and the Seahawks might have run out the clock. So, yeah, for the most part, man, I mean, you can nitpick a lot from that one, to be honest. You can. There's a lot of maybe concerning trends that you could see in the future, but they're able to get the win despite all of that. So, again, no real complaints on my end.
No, you could definitely nitpick, but I think a win is a win. And, beating a team in Seattle week one, I know that the Niners have dominated Seattle for a good deal of time right now, especially Brock Purdy. I think he's 6-1 against Seattle, including the postseason.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would say it's a pretty impressive victory. And before I eat this chip with hot sauce on it, two droplets you can see right there on the screen, everybody got what they wanted. And I will go into more detail. But Jake Moody, no more. And this angry mob of Niner fans got what they wanted. They wanted blood, and you got it, my friends. I'll go into it more, but here we go, Steven. Okay. So, Niners. All right. Ooh. With how much was made of Christian McCaffrey having the calf issue, he carried the team. 142 yards from scrimmage. I mean, for how much we made of the wide receiver room being decimated, they really didn't need him. They threw to Jawad Jennings a couple of times. Ricky Pearsall was incredible. 4 catches for 108 yards. I told you guys he was going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team, and it's just so different. I know Deebo Samuel's a different type of wide receiver, but let's just say Ricky Pearsall wasn't in this game and it was Deebo lined up man-to-man on Tyreek Woolen. He would not be able to do the things that Ricky Pearsall did in this game to get separation like that. That's what Kyle Shanahan was looking for in the Super Bowl when they were going up against Trent McDuffie and all the corners of the Chiefs. Ricky Pearsall brings something different to this offense now. But as you were bringing up, Steven, not all offenses are created equally. So the way that Kyle Shanahan schemes it up with getting Christian McCaffrey open in the passing game, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle until he got hurt, huge. So yeah, and George Kittle was featured heavily that opening drive where he catches 3 passes and then ultimately leaves with a hamstring injury, and now he's going to be on IR and gone for the next 4 weeks. It's going to hurt them big time, because I do believe this offense runs through Christian McCaffrey, Ricky Pearsall, and George Kittle. And when one of those guys aren't out there, it's going to change things. And those guys need to step up right now, McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall. But, yeah, man, there's 3 running backs in football where the offense runs through them. And to me, it's McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry. And that's evident with the 49ers of Christian McCaffrey. He's more versatile than Saquon and Derrick Henry are. But, yeah,
but I'll say this, though, more than just like the wide receiver room, he is a step slower. Like 22 carries for 69 yards isn't good. And the 9 receptions, you know how many times he had 9 receptions in that 2023 season? I
don't know. How many?
Never. He didn't have 9 receptions in that 2023 season, like in a single game.
Are you saying that? You're saying that's just too many, or?
No, I'm saying like it's kind of out of necessity. They're not going to have him running the football 30 times anymore, I don't think, because I think he's a step slower. And I still think he has value there. I'm not saying like he's not valuable and they need to trade him and get rid of him and all that. I just think now, back in 2023 and prior to his career, like the pass catching was kind of a luxury to have along with the elite running back that you had in McCaffrey. I'm not so sure that he's elite on the ground anymore. And I'm not just basing that on this last game. I'm basing that on what we saw even going back to last season when he's coming back from injury. And it's just, you hear it so much with a lot of these running backs who are, going into their 30s, where they just have that type of injury and they're just that much slower. I'm happy to be wrong, but it's just, I didn't see much as far as his value on the ground. It just feels like he has more value like as a pass catcher now, almost like with Debo. It felt like he had more value as like a running back and not so much as a wide receiver. Almost in that sense.
It's funny you say that, because my dad always said that he saw McCaffrey more as a pass catcher than a running back going into the pros. And then Ed McCaffrey joined him. He was like, "You're wrong about my son, Greg." But I didn't notice him being a step slower. I actually kind of attribute it more to the offensive line not really doing a good job. Trent Williams had a bad game. Colton McKivitz had a bad game, but still got rewarded with a contract. I have to see more of a larger sample size to really say that McCaffrey's a step slower. But as far as Purdy, I know some people are going to focus on the 2 interceptions he threw. The one to Ernest Jones over the middle was bad. He just didn't see him. He was trying to loft that into Juwan Jennings, but it got picked off. The other one he threw to Job in the left corner to Ricky Pearsall was his intended target. That was a bad throw as well. But I think it's really Purdy learning from his mistakes. It's growing from a season ago where he made the interception. He threw the interception to the Rams to lose that game. He made a lot of boneheaded mistakes. He even admitted it in a interview with Albert Breer, where he had to put everything on his shoulders a year ago because he wanted to go back to the Super Bowl so badly. I think it was a very resilient game by Brock Purdy. Was it his best performance? No. But for him to, throw 2 bad interceptions and to rebound, and the Jake Tonjes play could have also been picked off, but in the end, it's a touchdown. He also could have thrown an interception right before half, where he kind of like was fading back and threw it up in the air in the end zone. But I'm not nitpicky when it comes to quarterbacks and picks. Quarterbacks are going to throw interceptions sometimes. And I especially would, give a pass to it week 1 of the NFL season. So you go into Seattle and throw 2 interceptions and still win that game. Mm-hmm. Kudos to Brock Purdy. Kudos to that defense, really. I did not know what to expect. I thought that Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker would run all over them. And I owe Techie a beer because I was wrong on the game. So next time I see you, Techie, I owe you a beer. Wow. But the fact that Fred Warner was being his usual self, spitting up blood, the run defense that was such a sieve a year ago locked things down. Secondary, as you said, Steven, Diamador Lenore doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, allowing 0 catches. Renardo Green had his struggles against Jackson Smith-Njigba, but that was it offensively for the Seahawks. And I go back and forth where I don't know if it was more so Robert Saleh and these young guys having success on the defensive side of the ball, or if it was just the ineptitude of the Seahawks offensively. I thought that Sam Darnold did not look good whatsoever. I thought that Clint Kubiak would be able to scheme things up, but Robert Saleh knows Kubiak pretty well. I will give kudos also to Nick Bosa for having a defensive player of the year type play at the end, where I've been critical of him not forcing enough fumbles, not being enough like Khalil Mack or Von Miller, where it's one thing to sack the quarterback, but take the ball away from the quarterback. And to do that where you push the offensive tackle so much into the quarterback that he fumbles, that's a pretty damn good play. As far as George Kittle being out, I said that's gonna wreck things for their offense going forward. But you saw Luke Farrell and Jake Tonjes step up, so they're not really good pass catching tight ends. I mean, that was the first 3 receptions of Tonjes' career, so I wonder if they'll elevate Braden Willis. But all in all, I would say a pretty impressive win by the 49ers to go into Lumen Field and beat that team. But at the same time, the biggest con was Jake Moody, and that kick was awful. Not going to deny it whatsoever. The 27-yard miss, awful. You could see it in his face. He was not confident. And I'm not going to blame the block kick on him because that's not his fault. The 32-yard field goal that he made barely got in. And I want to give him the benefit of the doubt just because it's a new season. And I thought the one miss in preseason, not that big of a deal. But he's followed it up with the 59-yard game winner against the Raiders. But when it's evident that Kyle Shanahan has just had enough of him, him screaming "fuck" on the sidelines when he missed, that was pretty evident. I know that in the post game press conference when Tim Kawakami said, "Is Jake Moody you're going to be your kicker this week?" He said no question. Then he kind of clarified and said, "Well, you asked me in the moment of absolutes. I'm going to give you an answer." And it wasn't until yesterday's teleconference where Kyle said, "We're going to bring in some kickers. We're going to work some out." And he was non-committal on Jake Moody definitely being the kicker for this week. That's when I thought, shit, that's a different tune than what we've heard in the past. So with all that being said, I understand everyone's frustration. I think that sorry, I know I'm going on a long thing.
With all that being said, you just went top to bottom on the roster. God damn it.
I know. Well, everything in the game and Jake Moody, I just had to get that off my chest and whatnot. I know I was wrong about Moody. It's not working out. Obviously, they waived him today, but I get it, everybody. I thought it was just a little too much at times, but it was a necessary thing to do to waive Jake Moody today. Your rebuttal, Stephen.
All right, to all of that. Okay, going back to what you said about Brock Purdy. Good Lord.
Yeah, what did I say again? I think it was like 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I never get a chance to go on a rant on my own damn show on KMBR. I'm always cut off by Copes.
I know, it's fine. Well, there's probably a reason for that. I should be better at that. But anyway, but no, the Purdy thing, I'm going to kind of go back to what we have been saying with him. I think really since he had that 2023 season where it's just, is he going to force things? Yeah. Does he kind of have a risky mentality? Yeah. But he also makes such smart and such big plays like that deep pass to Ricky Pearsall, even though the cornerback may have misplayed it, it was still a perfectly placed ball. Understanding how to run the Shanahan offense and all those different things. Those interceptions were really bad. And it could have been worse in the end zone. Maybe Reek Bullen should have actually tried to snag that one instead of, I don't know what his mindset was. I actually should have gone back and watched like the press conferences to see like what he was thinking there, because that was just a poorly thrown ball. And if you look at any of like the advanced stats, if you believe in any of those, like with the completion over expected percentage, whatever, Purdy's was pretty well over, and it was one of the top completion over percentages in the league, which means, there was a little bit of the quarterback doing that, but also the quarterback had a little bit of luck on his side and some good plays. And I think you see that a little bit from Purdy, but I don't know. Like I do want to evaluate him game by game, but I'm just so done with this conversation of whether he's good, whether he's bad. Like he's going to make some mistakes, but he makes such big time plays. Like I'm willing to forgive those if he's going to do that. And the play, Derek, I remember you scream, "That's a smart play. That's a smart play." Was the one where he almost got sacked and he ended up just kind of shoveling the ball instead of at least going to the ground. And those are the little things that just show he's kind of taken the next step in that progression of becoming like the veteran that he is. Is he going to be among the tier 1 quarterbacks in the NFL? No, but he's probably going to be in that mid to high tier 2 range, which I think any team would be glad to have. So there's that. Then the Nick Bosa play. Sam Darnold, I showed you, I did my little, my cheap ass Apple edit where I just like drew the little lines that are like the little markups or whatever. Sam Darnold had made the wrong read on that play. Like had Sam Darnold not been looking to his left and instead looked over the middle, because like I heard Fred Warner say after the game that it was a broken coverage, and he actually looked really frustrated by it. I was like, what? Like he's happy that Bosa made the play, but he was more frustrated in how the defense handled it. And then you go back and watch it. Warner makes the wrong read, and Cooper Kupp was left wide open in the middle of the field. but Darnold wasn't looking anywhere near his direction. So it was just kind of a perfect recipe for the game-winning play by Bosa. That was big time. And yeah, Jake Moody, I got to be honest. It's hard being wrong, Derek. It's hard being wrong. And you got to admit when you are. And when he missed that 27-yarder, I immediately went to this damn YouTube chat because this consumes my life. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. I also will glow when I'm right.
That I'm wrong. It's just that thing, where you're in like a group chat with like your friends and all that, and then you have like this opinion that might be unpopular within that group chat, and then when that thing happens that goes against your unpopular opinion, you just know you're going to get just reamed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was expecting to come on here and have to hear about Jake Moody, and now that he's waived today, it's even more, where I got to admit some shit. But I also will be that guy at the bar, as you just said, Steven. Like, I have to show my ball knowledge where, Brock Purdy makes that play where he flips the ball instead of getting sacked. I'm like, that's a good play right there. Yeah, that's a good play. When Jordan Love also was throwing dimes, I'm like, yeah, come on, everybody. With Jake Moody. Look, I understand what the Niners were trying to do in drafting him in the 3rd round. It's very similar to Seabass. I mean, Seabass was drafted in the 1st round. Nate Kading was drafted in the 3rd round. Oof. Roberto Aguayo was drafted in the 2nd round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that one, they admitted defeat early on by cutting him after the 1st season. With Jake Moody, there were factors at play. He got injured or hurt his ankle. But after that, I mean, like, guys came in, Matthew Wright, Anders Carlson, but Jake Moody wasn't right after that, and he missed a lot of kicks. I understand that. I wanted to just give him the benefit of the doubt, where maybe he'll come back this season and be better. There's times where you did see his talent with the leg strength. But as we know, just because you have a strong leg doesn't mean shit. Sebastian Janikowski, it's funny that, we had, I'll call him the Mexican-American dream. We all know who he is. Are you aware of AJ Cruz's alter ego, Steven?
I am. He called in once.
That's right. Okay, yes. So he called in yesterday and, of course, took me to the woodshed and said, Pepito, you're probably used to mediocre, football players because you watch the Raiders for all your life. And I'm like, hang on, sir. Hang on. I watched great special teamers for most of my life. Me and Steven did. And Sebastian Janikowski, Shane Leckler, and John Kondo. But Seabass had a strong leg. And I thought that Jake Moody could maybe potentially be Sebastian Janikowski. But don't get it twisted, too. Sebastian Janikowski had his moments where he missed kicks. I'll never forget him missing 3 against the Arizona Cardinals. It pissed me off. But Jake Moody just wasn't going to be given that time because he just didn't have the confidence. There was times where he would nail a 55-yarder in the Super Bowl but miss the PAT. So I thought that maybe he would survive a little while and there'd be missed kicks here or there. But I didn't expect it after week 1. And I get it. If you can't make a 27-yard field goal, then it probably is better to go with Eddie Pinheiro, who we also know from his Raider days, signed with the 49ers today, was a rookie in 2018. They got traded to the Chicago Bears. He's bounced around, was with the Carolina Panthers recently, is the 3rd most accurate kicker in NFL history, which I'm surprised he wasn't on a team to begin with. He has a leg, too. He's made 50-yarders. So Eddie Pinheiro is a guy going forward. Jake Moody, I think they just wanted to make it work. I don't think they wanted egg on their face when it came to admitting that they drafted the wrong kicker or a kicker in general. I wouldn't draft a kicker. I would just wait till free agency and sign someone off the scrap heap. But yeah, I don't mind admitting I'm wrong. So to all of to all of the YouTube chat, to our opiners, I was 100% wrong about Jake Moody. Let's move on. Put down your pitchforks, everybody. Jake Moody's no longer a 49er.
Yeah, they're never going to. You know that, right? They're never going to. Every time Eddie Pinheiro makes a kick.
I know. Well, and you know what? I don't think that I think that Niner fans were down on Jake Moody as soon as he cost them that game against the Cleveland Browns, and they never were willing to accept him after that. I think it was just that was a Super Bowl season. They saw one missed kick and thought, if this guy's going to fuck it up for us, then we're not tolerating it. So I think it was then on out. Niner fans were just down on the kid. And I get it. I think it's a little too mean-spirited at times, but I do understand the vitriol when it comes to a kicker. It's easy to hate a kicker, but also it's easy to hate a kicker and then say the next guy's going to be great. It's the same thing with a backup quarterback. So if Eddie Pinheiro starts missing kicks, I'm sorry, guys. That's all you got now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just be cautious, Yeah, Jake Moody, like that 27-yarder, dude, it's automatic. Even for high schoolers. Like at that point, if you're not able to make a 27-yard kick, I'm like, you might as well just sign my buddy Joel, who used to kick for our high school, at least our freshman year.
Or you, apparently, Steven. Or you.
I mean, I'm just saying I could kick a 27-yarder if I need to. Not with pads and
no,
not
you
with
can't. No, you cannot hit a 27-yard field goal. Are you insane?
You don't even know me.
What are you talking about? Steven, you played baseball. What traits do you have where you can kick a field goal?
I played baseball, I ran track, and also a little bit of football where I kicked some field goals. It was really bad. But also, I played soccer, Derek. It's in our blood. It's in this Englishman's blood. All right? And by the way, I'm left-footed. All right? I'm like Jano.
Okay. Then you know what? I said let's put this to the test. Let's find a field somewhere in Alameda, and I will film you trying to attempt a 27-yard field goal. Mr. Big Talker.
I'd almost rather not because I feel like I'd pull a hamstring.
Seriously, dude, you think you're the dude from The Replacements that you could just do that? Smoke a cigarette.
I'm wiry.
You're not the garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon.
No, I'm not. God, I ended up watching like the beginning of that movie today just because you sent that. It's all on YouTube. Check it out.
But Jake Moody, no longer a 49er. And you know what? I think Niner fans are very happy. And I want to be the least bit surprised with Younghoe Koo missing a kick very badly in a dome. I think Jake Moody can rebound playing in a dome and just kicking long field goals. So maybe the Falcons pick him up.
Maybe. Or shoot, just go do something else, Moody. Like he did not seem to enjoy himself.
Yeah, but I think it was the anxiety of everything, and I don't think his career is over.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it probably isn't because kickers can always be found. I mean, Matt Prater came in as a 41-year-old out of nowhere and kicked a game winner for the Bills.
Speaking of which, let's move on to that. I mean, we cover everything with the 49ers. I mean, we'll see about Brock Purdy too. He's got the shoulder injury, the non-throwing shoulder and the toe. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it is turf toe. Kyle, in the teleconference played it off like, hey guys, I just have toe here. I don't have anything more. He knows what it is. It's either a broken toe or a turf toe or whatever, or his toenail got ripped off.
Well, one thing I guess we didn't address was let's just go all the way to the top of the chat because Rockin' New Era wasted no time. As a matter of fact, a half hour before we hopped on, and Ernie jumped in 15 minutes before we hopped on. When I say George, you say Brittle. George Brittle.
So, come on, guys.
Apparently calling one of the toughest players in the NFL tough is unpopular opinion because he's brittle.
I understand the Jake Moody hate to a degree, but calling George Kittle George Brittle for all that he's done for you guys, come on now. Come on. That's lame as fuck. So, George, as soon as he was on the sidelines with the hat, and there was during an offensive series, okay, either it's a concussion or something else. And once we got the hamstring, I was like, if he's not coming back in this game, I can guarantee he's going to be on IR. And when Kyle said yesterday it's going to be a couple weeks, then Ian Rappaport says 3 to 5 weeks, the likely thing is he's going to be on IR. So he'll get right. I just wonder what the tight end play is going to be going forward. There's a lot of tight ends available too. CJ Uzama, Gerald Everett, if you want more of a pass-catching tight end. Kyle Shanahan's offense isn't for everybody, so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they just roll with Tunges and Farrell and elevate Braden Willis. But if there's a lot to be desired when it comes to the tight end play, they may add somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to lose games against the likes of, I don't know, the Saints, the Cardinals, and I forgot who they play right before the Rams. I'm not to
Jags.
Say, the what?
Jaguars.
The Jags. So not to say they're going to lose any of those games because they're missing George Kittle, but if they do struggle, I think his absence will be pretty evident. I don't know if they're going to sign anybody. It's just another guy. Like it's insane how all these injuries happen. And with Kittle, you just never hear anything with training camp because like they get the veterans days rest. And I actually think Shanahan does a decent job of keeping the vets healthy. But the fact that this already happened though, I just hope it's not like a harbinger of what could happen in this season where this is just the first potential injury domino to fall among all these kind of all pros / future Hall of Famers.
Good use of harbinger. And yeah, it's been always a thing with the 49ers and their injuries. I'm not going to pinpoint it to any person in particular. It's nobody's fault. It's just the game of football. But it does happen frequently with the 49ers. I don't think you could do anything about it, really.
Yeah. So I don't even know what the answer is. It'd be cool to get Tune just some more touches. I mean, the Los Gatos guy who's just been waiting for an opportunity. But I do think that not having George Kittle out there gives the defense one less thing to game plan for. And, the Saints aren't going to be a good team. This could be very well be like a low scoring matchup come Sunday, which we will preview more on Saturday. But again, it just sucks. Just sucks for him.
Yeah, too much good stuff. All right, the Sunday game for Tungus, the Sunday night game was fucking epic. I thought that the Bills would come out and they scored an opening drive, coming out a little more fiery, but the Baltimore Ravens had something to prove from their loss to them in the playoffs a season ago where Mark Andrews dropped that 2-point conversion. They dominated the start of that game. From Derrick Henry looking like a year ago on Sunday Night Football, just, running all over them. DeAndre Hopkins going back to his Texans day, making one-handed catches in the end zone. Zay Flowers getting screen passes. Once it was 40-25, I was kind of having the game on in the background, half paying attention, being like, okay, I think this game's over. 4 minutes left. And then there was that play where Josh Allen completes it on a 4th and goal. It's deflected and Keon Coleman catches it. I'm like, okay, something's happening here. This is going to be like one of those crazy games. And sure enough, Josh Allen, like the Bills are a good team, but God, are they so good with Josh Allen? And yeah, I mean, it was that play. It was, them not picking up 2-point conversions where they could have got back in the game a little bit earlier, but the missed PAT, and kickers miss kicks, guys. The new kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, Tyler Loop, he misses, a PAT that makes it 40-25. Had they got that extra point, maybe a different game, maybe they go to overtime. But yeah, it was Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, Lamar dominating early. And this is why these guys are, besides Mahomes, they're the two best quarterbacks in football. Joe Burrow's right there too, but Joe Burrow didn't do a lot week 1. Yeah, it was just awesome to see. Bills come back. Matt Prater, off the practice squad, the old Matt Prater from back in the day with the Denver Broncos having to fill in for Tyler Bass, kicks the game-winning field goal. It was just fun. And, I wonder if it crossed Jair Alexander's mind to not let Keon Coleman to not tackle. Exactly, like to let him score so they could get the ball back quicker. That would have been the smarter thing to do there. But it was just a fun game. It's one of the better week 1 games I can remember in quite some time. Yeah. Just high scoring. Hopefully both defenses patch things up. But I would love to see this game again, obviously. I would love to see Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, not just in the playoffs again, but the AFC Championship. And hopefully, the Bills and Ravens exercise some demons along the way, beating the Chiefs. But I just want to see this matchup again. I have Chiefs fatigue. I'm over it. Maybe they're not going to be the same team from what we saw in Brazil on Friday night, but just a fucking unbelievable fun game to watch the Bills come back and win that game over the Baltimore Ravens.
This locker room reaction to Matt Prater when he was just signed to the team like a few days ago, it was gold.
I'm not going to take a shot at his age, but he walks into the special teams meeting, and I'm like, oh, we got a new coach. And then I'm like, wait, that's Matt Prater. Holy cow, this guy's been like balling in the league.
Yeah. First time I seen him, I was like, is that a coach? And he comes out here, man, and he's a great dude. Comes out here, kicks a game-winning field goal. He's special, and I'm just happy to have him here with us.
The oldest guy in the world, ain't he? Shoot, I'm thankful for him. Keep your old ass with the Bills. Oh, man. Jesus. I'm thankful for him. I'm glad that somebody could come in on Thursday and help us big because every piece matters. And he came in, he understood the assignment, we got the job done.
Yeah. So I don't blame you for putting the TV on in the background, because clearly a bunch of Bills fans thought that was enough. That's all they needed to see was the Ravens going up 40-25, and they decided to leave Highmark Stadium in the last ever time that, there's going to be a season opener in that stadium, since they're moving out of Highmark next year. Yeah. And then, Josh Allen kind of calling out Bills Mafia a little bit. But it just goes to show how momentum can flip, because the Ravens were dominating. The entire storyline of that game, it's amazing, was how Derrick Henry's defying father time. Like, shit, man, I'm 32, Derrick. Okay. And here's the thing. I've had problems with like my knees. And I used to run a lot, right? Like I used to just do it, run long distances for fun. Then I did it for years. Then I got fat. And then I went on a run again. And after I got fat and ran like a mile, and my knees were sore for 2 weeks, and I could like barely walk without limping. This man is 31 years old, has taken as many hits as he has, and he's still like, you're not supposed to do this at that age. Actually, I really did not do my homework. I wanted to go into this pod like taking the ages of the greatest running backs of all time and just seeing what they look like at 31, because Adrian Peterson is one of those guys, but Emmitt Smith is probably one of those guys too. But say you take your Sean Alexanders, your Alexandersers, your Terrell Davises,
like that,
and you take all these guys who just take hit after hit after hit and just get a little old, and then they start to lose a step, and it's like, my God, but that was the whole story, was Derrick Henry and just Lamar Jackson. Like the amount of little chuckles that Lamar Jackson got out of Chris Collinsworth, it tickled my soul. Every time you make a move, you just hear like that little thing in the background.
Oh,
yeah.
This guy's special.
What a joy to watch. That's what it was. But then, like, the momentum flipped. It's just like you mentioned. It's like the missed PAT, the next Ravens drive where they committed 2 penalties, clearly just undisciplined. Then they punted it away, gave it back to the Bills, who ended up scoring the touchdown. And then Henry, the guy we were talking about, ends up fumbling it in their own territory, man. It's just, wow. Yeah, if you didn't pay attention to that quarter. And then, at the end of the day, Josh Allen throws, I think he had like 4 total touchdowns in that quarter or something, whatever the crazy, not 4 total touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns, along with 296 yards passing. And that was like the most he's ever thrown in a single quarter in his career. I mean, what more could you want from a Sunday night football game to close out week 1, dude? That was wild.
Oh, it was amazing. And yeah, Derrick Henry was the catalyst. Derrick Henry's fumble was the catalyst for the Bills come back in that game. And yeah, Josh Allen was 16 of 21 for 259 yards in the fourth quarter. Finished with, I think, 390-something passing yards. 4 touchdowns total, 2 passing, 2 rushing. He's on his way to being MVP again. But yeah, man, it was just fun to watch. And 2 quarterbacks at the top of their craft. I mean, we're in a new age where, the Bradys, the Mannings, the Breezes, the Rivers, the Roethlisbergers, the Eli Mannings were all fun to watch. But these guys are on a different level where their ability to run and pass and just sling it is just so different. And yeah, I want to see a new quarterback rivalry. And, it's different in the regular season where Josh Allen doesn't look scared. In the playoffs, I always bring this up where he kind of looks like Jake Moody when going up against Patrick Mahomes. I don't want that anymore. I want that same Josh Allen that was fired up and energetic in this game to be the same guy we see in the AFC Championship game, whether it's against the Ravens or whether against the Chiefs. I want to see that from Josh Allen going forward. So, yeah, man.
Dude, the DeAndre Hopkins catch.
Yeah, it was sick. It was absolutely sick.
Like this, I just decided to go on the Texans Wikipedia during the game just to look back at the quarterbacks that he played with when it felt like the game was kind of in a lull. Like when I had it on in the background, that's what I was looking up, and you're just seeing, Tom Savage, rest in peace, but Ryan Mallett. You're seeing Brian Hoyer. You're seeing I'm forgetting dude who had the mispronunciation on the shoulder tattoo, Brock Osweiler. All these guys, and then now he's 10 years later, and he's playing with the likes of one of the best quarterbacks in football and still making one-handed catches. Just layers, man.
Layers. Yeah. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, that play looked like the one. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins' best play, in my opinion, was a throw that Tom Savage had with him. I think it was Christmas Day against the Steelers. And he tips the ball up in the air with one hand and catches it with one hand. Yeah, man. And Josh Allen calling out Bills Mafia for not staying the entire game. I kind of get that because, it's Bills week 1 and it's 40-25, but enough time left in the game. And Buffalo is such a football crazy town. It's twofold though, because I personally, you have to tell me the game is over for me to leave a football game. I'll leave early for a baseball game. I'll leave early for a basketball game if the game's well in hand. Not a Warriors playoff game though. I'm staying till the end. But for an NFL game with how expensive tickets are, I would just stay for the whole game. Now at the same time, if you're leaving and you know your team is coming back, you better be able to get back into your seat pretty quickly. Not because of, like if you leave the stadium and you're trying to drive back in, then that's a whole problem. But if you're like on your way down the concourse and you hear the roar of the crowd, the usher should just be let you back in. Like it should just be like, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, but like let me get back to my seat to see this. So yeah, no, that's a fun thing. It's fun to see a comeback like that week 1 with the Bills and Ravens. And we saw one last night as well. The Monday Night Football game between the Vikings and Bears. The Bears were dominating that game. I thought that the opening drive for Caleb Williams, he looked really good. And I thought, okay, Ben Johnson's figured things out. He's got everything open for him. Caleb Williams is still moving around. But he didn't have to rely on the running game. I think that eventually Ben Johnson wants to get a 2-headed running back scheme like he had with the Detroit Lions. But it looked good. Caleb Williams looked good that opening drive. And then after that, you and I were texting about it. Caleb just looked erratic. He doesn't look cool, calm, collected when he plays. He's just so antsy. It's just too crazy for me. Like he needs to learn how to play poised and confident. And on the flip side, JJ McCarthy looked terrible to start, throwing that pick 6. He just didn't look ready. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck were talking about the lack of preseason snaps he had. And then, boom, in the fourth quarter, just turned it on. That touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, the dime he threw to Aaron Jones for the touchdown, and then the touchdown run he had to score 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. Pretty impressive by J.J. McCarthy. I think it was just better coaching on it, honestly, for Kevin O'Connell scheming up for J.J.'s strengths, where Ben Johnson's still learning things with Caleb Williams. I think it's going to be a lot for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams to figure out. I think the Vikings have a pretty solid defense, but just a demoralizing loss for the Bears week 1 already.
Dude, like J.J. McCarthy is, a lot of the evaluation that we gave of him, I think going into the first round was based on his play on the field and kind of uncertainty around, him winning a national championship with Michigan and just wondering why he was selected 10th overall. I have a feeling that the Vikings loved his one-on-one interviews because this dude has the mentality you need if you're going to be a starting quarterback in the league. And that's one that just never quits. I don't know if you heard kind of the Hollywood movie thing that's kind of being attached to this game, but Aaron Jones first told the story or JJ McCarthy rather actually told the story. Then Aaron Jones confirmed it. But after he threw that pick 6 and he goes back into the huddle towards the end of the third quarter, he's like pumping the guys up and telling them where else in the world would you rather be right now? Like it make for a sick mic'd up moment. But that's the type of stuff that, it does sound corny from the outside look again, but it's what these guys need. I don't know what it is. They just need some of that stuff. They need their kind of movie moment. And then you saw what JJ McCarthy did in the fourth quarter. He's like, yeah, I've never said that before. I just kind of slipped out, but it felt like that's what they needed to hear. He also has that crazy look in his eye from the pregame to the locker room speech. taking in a lot of JJ McCarthy, like social media content from that game. And the dude is just, yeah, he's got that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna. He's got the dog in him, Derek. He's got it. He's got that dog in him. It's not the Wolverine. It's the dog. And Caleb Williams, I don't know, dude. Like, I think I'm not going to act like I'm some quarterback guru or quarterback whisperer, but I feel like anyone who watches football understands, especially in the NFL, not every broken play needs to be fixed. Feels like he's always just trying to fix. It's sometimes just do the smart thing, throw the ball out of bounds in someone's vicinity, try to stay in the tackle box, don't get intentional grounding, just make the smart play and live to fight another one. You don't need to make everything a positive. It's just, I'm sure he gets, I mean, maybe he doesn't, maybe his conditioning is really, really strong, but like, I imagine after he's doing all this running around trying to fix something that is broken, like I've been saying, like I imagine that he gets tired at the end of the game. Just all that running and scrambling. And it's like, what the hell is going on? I'm sure Ben Johnson is watching that, especially having worked with a guy like Jared Goff, who's as polished as they come in the NFL. Like, I imagine it's just a little bit of a culture shock for him with that one. So I don't know. I'm not saying like I'm not down on the Bears or Caleb Williams. I actually think they made it competitive, and there's quite a bit to build on, especially with the defense too. And he played a really good defense led by Brian Flores. But yeah, that game, it just felt like there's a lot that they can clean up.
Well, it feels to me like Caleb Williams wants to play hero ball way too much, where all the plays feel like broken plays. Like I wanted to get to the point where Caleb Williams is Jared Goff, where you can just stand back in the pocket and maybe the offensive line isn't, ready yet. But I want to get to the point where, or I think Ben Johnson wants to get to the point, Bears fans wants to get to the point where he just stands in the pocket and finds the open guy instead of just, scrambling all the time. It's like he's a good athlete, but it just looks too much like him at USC, where it's not polished. You said it perfectly, Stephen. Like, it's not smooth. It's just always frantic football. Like even the throw to Cole Kmet, they're trying to get back in the game. It just feels like it's so rushed. It feels so weird. And yeah, he just wants to do it, primarily with his legs and then find the open guy at the last second. But he needs to get to the point where, stop being Russell Wilson in his early stage of his career and be Russell Wilson later on in his career, where be mobile, but find the open guy. Don't do all this crazy stuff. Like, get to the point where you could be Jared Goff, you could be Brock Purdy, where, do what Ben Johnson's telling you to do. I think it's a little bit of, Ben Johnson not having a great plan the first week of the season, and Brian Flores throwing a ton at Caleb Williams, but also Caleb Williams just going back to his natural instinct. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle at times for Caleb Williams. But the joint at the hip, all these people that are saying that Ben Johnson can move on from Caleb Williams, I highly doubt that. I think his number one priority, being the head coach of the Bears, is to get that guy to be a great quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I mean, you see the talent, man. You see that throw over the middle to Roma Dunze late in the game. Yeah. You're like, my God. But then you also see and also that hospital ball that they're calling it to DJ Moore, I don't know if that was necessarily his fault. Guy had pressure in his face and guys get hit. Like, anytime a player gets hit over the middle, we automatically go to the hospital ball term when, it might not be entirely the quarterback's fault. However, a pass, I think, later in that drive where he had DJ Moore open right in the front left pylon and just completely overthrew him. I mean, there's just these little things, man. Or who knows? Maybe he just won't be a good quarterback. But this is the same thing we said about Josh Allen in his second year with the Bills, and look at the way we're talking about him now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe he's not going to be, because I think the talent's there. It's just he needs to have a better head on his shoulders about it, where you just got to be more calm and composed when you are playing in this game. And I just don't see it yet. I think that he's trying too hard, and I think that Ben Johnson needs to get through to him just to be more comfortable playing the position.
Yeah.
As far as the other games from week 1, to do our little quick hits.
Can we get to one? Can we get to one that I think was the exact same as the Bills and Ravens?
Sure.
Not the exact same, but I think the trend of it was similar. And it's the game we were watching side by side at the bar next to the Raiders and the Patriots, and that was the Steelers and Jets.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can be a Jets fan and you walk away from that game not feeling encouraged at all by what you saw. I not to get down on like the Steelers and not because of what I've said about Aaron Rodgers, but I do think like this whole Aaron Rodgers is back thing. I think that was a little overblown. I think he had some really, I think the Jets gave them some really easy opportunities toward the end of the game. And ultimately that's why the Steelers were able to win it. But I rewatched that little condensed version, and from what I said at the beginning, I was very intrigued by how they would be able to run the football. And God, that's all they did. They're just going to RPO you to death. It's crazy, dude. With Breece Hall, the backup whose name is escaping me, but they call him the Killer Bees, as they mentioned on the broadcast.
Braylon Allen.
As long as Justin Fields doesn't make any boneheaded interceptions and makes the right read, like any team that struggles against the run, I think is going to absolutely struggle against the Jets because their O-line was eating the Steelers' defensive line for lunch in the run game. They were just creating these wide open lanes, and I think they had like 182 yards from scrimmage or something like that. And it's crazy watching just everything open up, especially with Fields. It's just towards the end of that game, it's in a little bit of a lull. They haven't really scored much, and they got to fourth downs, but then for the Steelers, an unnecessary roughness penalty with a hit out of bounds that put them in much better field position after the kickoff return. Then eventually a fumble. Another fumble, which is what led to Aaron Rodgers. A couple of big-time plays by DK Metcalf, but also you had the circus catch by him, which set up a 60-yard field goal, the one that bobbled. So, you look at the final score, you look at the final stat line, and you say, oh, man, Aaron Rodgers is back with the Steelers. But I come away from that game thinking, I think we need to put a little more stock into the Jets this year. They not so much defensively. Defensively, there might be some left to be desired, but on offense, I thought they looked pretty dangerous.
They definitely did, but I have to see him more because week 1 games are so crazy sometimes where I don't think it's going to be indicative of the entire season. I can't believe the Bengals are only going to be 1 point better than the Browns for the majority of the season. The biggest shocker to me was the fact that both teams scored in the 30s and the Steelers defense looked as bad as it did. I don't know what was going on there. They're usually ready to go. It might just be week 1, and they got new guys on the defensive side of the ball with Jalen Ramsey, even though he made the game-winning play by knocking the crap out of Jared Wilson on that, or Garrett Wilson on that final play. Yeah. But it was pretty shocking to even see TJ Watt get faked out on the goal line from that 4th and goal play where it was a play-action bootleg with Justin Fields, nobody around him, totally by himself, scoring the go-ahead touchdown. I will say, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers will ever be Aaron Rodgers again, but he did look better than a year ago against the 49ers week 1.
I guess he was good. He has the talented arm. There's no denying that. I mean, Tom Brady's called him the best thrower of the football, but I don't want to anoint him like the comeback player of the year already when he throws, was it 4 touchdowns, I think, in that game?
Yeah, I mean, again, Stephen, I'm not saying that he was back to his true form, but I think that Arthur Smith is a pretty damn good play caller where I think he'll put him in pretty good positions. The flip pass to Jonnu Smith on the goal line, that's something that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't do in his career before. He hates that stuff, but I think he's more open to it now because Mike Tomlin's the one steering the ship, and he's just going to tell him, Aaron, it is what it is here, man. I'm a proven commodity in this league, so just go with it. And DK looked really good. He just found open guys from DK to Roman Wilson, or I don't even know if Roman Wilson caught a pass actually, but Calvin Austin, Ben Skoranek catching passes. I was impressed with the Steelers' defense. Or sorry, the offense. The defense was where I was like, what's going on here? And Darius Slay's a little young or older now, and Garrett Wilson beats him on the big play. Their run defense, I was surprised they were gashed as much as they were. Yeah, the Jets actually could be good offensively. I was surprised too by the Jets defense giving up plays too, because they're always talking about how good they are on paper. But I mean, maybe this is where Justin Fields finds a good scheme fit for him. But yeah, I
totally get the week one hesitancy. I really do. But I watched that. I'm like, damn, like that feels like it's sustainable. Breece Hall's just that good. But again, it just depends if Justin Fields plays as clean as he did, because he played a really good game. And there's a reason why he was wide open and faked out TJ Watt. It's because they didn't know what was coming. You don't fake out players like TJ Watt like that. You just don't. Not based on just one play action. It's because of how they set it up. It was really impressive. I wonder how JJ reacted to that in the booth.
I was watching the highlights, and it sounded like Ian Eagle and JJ Watt were a good combo. But on that touchdown run from Justin Fields where he fakes out TJ, you could just hear JJ just in the background kind of just go, and there it is. Like almost like I wanted my brother to make the play there, but like, damn it, okay. Justin Fields. It may be where it's effective early on, and then teams catch up with their, kind of their read option style of offense. But yeah, I mean, you have to give credit to the Jets. They were going to win that game. The reason they won that game was because of the leg of Chris Boswell for the Steelers. That 60-yard field goal was pretty incredible. It probably would have been good from 70. So kudos to the Steelers. Great revenge for Aaron Rodgers, calling everybody out in the post game, saying this was a good win to get back at everybody in the Jets organization. So, and there seems to be some animosity still between him and Garrett Wilson. I don't know if you saw the clips leading up to the game, but they asked Garrett Wilson about his relationship with Aaron Rodgers, and he was like, I have not talked to that man since he left. And I was like, damn, okay, fair enough.
I'm just saying, with how the Bills looked against the Ravens and their run game, just watch out next week.
Okay, all right. That may be a tease for Steven having an upset come Saturday's show. But as far as the other games from week one, I think that the team that looked the most impressive was the Green Bay Packers. And this isn't me, trying to suck off Jordan Love even more, everybody, but he did look damn good. And he's got more of complementary receivers now, Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed being healthy. So I thought his first, two drives, or it wasn't the first two drives, but the touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft, the touchdown pass to Jaden Reed, that looked really impressive. But it was the defense. It was Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, their pass rush, and Micah Parsons coming in. Man, like the ovation he got, and him being lined up on the defensive line, asking Lucas Van Ness, where do I line up here? That first play from scrimmage, he applies the pressure to Jordan to Jared Goff, and yeah, man, he's gonna wreak havoc on this team. His pressure led to the interception later on. The way he hunted down Jared Goff for that sack. It's clear to me that the Packers are going to be a better football team this year. It's clear to me that the Lions are still going to be good. I still think they're going to be good, but they're going to struggle early on without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. The defense struggled a lot. The offense looked like a shell of their former selves. Just not a lot of, explosive plays down the field. They don't know how creative Johnny Morton will be with this offense, but yeah, they got to find ways to get in the end zone earlier. They got to find ways to open it up for Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're just too damn talented. So I think it was just the Packers having all the energy and all the hype and kicking their ass week one. I still do expect the Lions to be a good team, but I did pick them to go 10-7 and be the 7th seed in the NFC playoffs. So maybe the loss of Ben Johnson will be a detriment to their success going forward.
Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe I was wrong about them because they're just – there's definitely going to be growing pains. Just a question of how long are those pains going to last? Like Jahmyr Gibbs rushing for 19 yards.
Yeah.
He hasn't rushed for fewer than 19 yards since his rookie season. And he did that just once his rookie season. and he's already done that his first week without Ben Johnson. So what's that going to look like next week? I know the Packers were at home, but I thought the Lions had every chance because I just think even with Micah Parsons, I don't know. I have a tough time, I guess, but I still consider their roster like better top to bottom, just from an offensive and defensive standpoint.
The Lions, definitely. Yeah. I agree with that.
So I just felt like, they had the clear advantage in this game, but they just got worked, man. And this is one of those weird week one situations where you're like, are the Packers that good, or were the Lions just that out of sync, and can they get back in sync the next week? I don't know what the answer to that is.
I think it's a mix of both, but yeah, I think the Packers they needed to win that game with the way that they lost every division a game a year ago, with the exception of, a game in Chicago where it came down to a block kick. They needed to establish themselves as being, a force to be reckoned with in the NFC in their own division with how many good teams are there. So I think it was more on the Packers just wanting to prove something, but the Lions definitely have something to prove this week when they face against the Bears and Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
The Rams did enough to win. I was kind of expecting Matthew Stafford to not look great with the lack of practice he had with the bad back. He looked fine, and I would say actually he looked pretty good. I think it was 22 of 29, way better than what he looked like a couple years ago, where his elbow was all fucked up in that first, game against the Buffalo Bills, where the Rams were defending champions. And he threw 3 interceptions. It's not a passing injury for Matthew Stafford. Of course, he has to move his body. He has to move his back when he throws, but he looked good enough. The defense, I kind of the same thing with the 49ers. If giving credit to the Niners defense or giving credit to the Rams defense, the Rams defense is really good. Jared Verse, the whole defensive line is pretty incredible. Byron Young getting a sack in that game. I don't know about the Texans offense anymore. I really don't. Like CJ Stroud, I want him to be good, but I don't know if it's just him, but they haven't looked good since his rookie season when it comes to the offense, and they're going to struggle running the ball.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb got 60 yards, but he's not the same guy anymore. Nico Collins only getting like 3 catches for 20-something yards. Their leading receiver was Jaden Higgins, the rookie, for like 30-something yards. So it was, to me, more on the Texans just being inept offensively, and maybe the Rams defense kind of coming to play. But Puka Nacua doing his usual thing, 10 catches, bleeding from his eye. Devontae Adams being really the number 2 wide receiver in that scheme. So very similar game to the 49ers, where they did enough to win. It wasn't enough, or it wasn't a ton offensively, but 14-9, good enough to win week 1.
Yeah, but also I think we got to look at penalties for the Texans. I think they had like 10 in the second half or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was just a totally undisciplined game by them. I'm kind of leaning in the same way that you are with CJ Stroud. I think he's a really good quarterback, but I don't know, that rookie season, he could have been just a flash in the pan. Like, unless they do something to prove us otherwise. I mean, it's just really, it was to me though. I do think he has like respect around the league. I know you don't do the NFL top 100 thing. I know no one takes it seriously, but still he was somehow in the 50s. And obviously your own team can vote on it. And it's such a I don't know, biased voting system where there's literally no guidelines. But I do think there's a respect factor there in the NFL with him. So I'll give it a little bit of time, but coming up with nothing really in this game, not good.
No, and maybe it was because of Nick Caley being the new offensive play caller for the Texans, coming from the Rams, and maybe Sean McVay just knew what he was going to scheme up. But yeah, not looking good for the Texans offensively for quite some time now. Moving on here, the Commanders pick up from where they were last season. Jaden Daniels, being his usual self from his rookie campaign. Finding Zach Ertz for the touchdown. Bill Merritt rushing for a touchdown. Deebo Samuel looking like the 49ers Deebo Samuel of old, catching 7 passes for 77 yards. A little flip play to get into the end zone. And their defense came to play. I thought that maybe the Giants could expose them a little bit, but it's 3 years in a row now where the Giants don't score a touchdown in week 1. And I wonder how long Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback for the Giants. I think that Brian Dable and Joe Shane want to keep their jobs, and eventually they'll have to show off the big the new shiny toy in Jackson Dart. But yeah, I don't know. You and I picked the Giants to win 3 games, and they kind of look like the same old team to me.
Yeah, they are going to need to make a change at quarterback. I think that was my main takeaway. It really was nothing on the Commanders. Commanders are good. Commanders are good. Like, they got weapons on offense, and they got some dogs on defense. Like Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu are, we got one who's one of the best linebackers of this generation, and you got one on the up and up. That defensive line is solid. The secondary is solid. But the story to me was just this whole thing with, I know this shouldn't be it. I know you want to keep it on football, but just this whole situation with like Malik Neighbors already complaining with Brian Dable in just the first week of the season, Russell Wilson just looking like a shell of himself. And I don't really know what the future for him is anymore. Yeah, I don't think the Commanders played a very good team. And by the way, if you want to talk about penalties, the Commanders had 12 of them. Giants only had 6. It's not like they played like an undisciplined game, but they stunk on the third down. Russell Wilson just can't break out of the pocket and, throw 70-yard bombs anymore. He might have an opportunity here or there, but you have a backup quarterback in waiting, and it feels like this is the first one that's going to be going.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know how long it will take, but eventually Jackson Dart will probably start for the Giants.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Giants and their former quarterback, Daniel Jones, he looked really good against the Miami Dolphins. And maybe the Miami Dolphins are bad, and they look really bad. But I think that you and I were kind of bullish on the Colts. Maybe more so you. I was expecting him, to have a resurgence like a Sam Darnold thing a year ago, but maybe this scheme just fits really well for Daniel Jones to put up 33 points and have one of the better stat lines of his career. I just think that Shane Steichen, found something in this guy. It's when offensive coaches, I guess like give up on guys, that they're done.
Yeah.
Good offensive coaches, I should say. Like Brian Dable, I still don't know if he's a good offensive play caller in this league, but he gave up on Daniel Jones. Shane Steichen found something in him. Kind of the same way that Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell found something in Sam Darnold, where other teams just said, yeah, he was a bust. He's not very good. They see a skill set there that they could use to their advantage. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Colts are a good team with Daniel Jones. And as far as the Dolphins, man, Tua doing the same mistakes, Tyreek Hill frustrated, Mike McDaniel not looking enthused. You got Rex Ryan calling Mike McDaniel a nerd boy on TV, which I don't think is fair. Of course, Rex would do something like that. But Mike McDaniel, I love him at the same time in these post-game press conferences where he gives these long-winded responses of why they lost the game. There's clear evidence that a good deal of people in that locker room don't respect him. And I just wonder how much longer he's going to stay employed as the head coach.
Well, I do think, though, I'm not going to act like I watched the all 22 of this one, but there's people who said, like, dude, McDaniels, he had guys open. It's just Tua didn't hit those guys.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a mess. It is a mess. And it feels like this is that team, like kind of like the Giants are probably going to be the first one to go with the backup quarterback. This feels like a team that wants a number 1 overall pick next year, that could fire their head coach, that could make some sort of big trade at the deadline. Like, I think the question on Get Up this morning is, should the Chiefs immediately trade for Tyreek Hill? Which is just it's like, should they trade immediately for Tyreek Hill, as if it's like a given that they should
immediately?
Also, like the Rex Ryan calling him a nerd boy thing. Nerd is such an outdated term. Like, haven't we moved past this whole Revenge of the Nerds version of nerds? And instead, like, nerd is a definition that you use when you're talking about like yourself and you have a passion and you nerd out over some specific thing. And I think it's more of a positive now than what it used to be. Like calling someone a nerd boy is just so outdated. Like get with the times, Rex. Come on, dude.
So what should have Rex called him then, Steven?
I don't know. Anything else? Anything else?
Dweeb?
No names. Doesn't need to call him a name call, and doesn't need to be any name calling in this thing.
Well, of course, because Rex Ryan, he relates it to himself. It's always about him, and he's, he was a great coach. He should have the Jets job currently. He was so confident he was going to get it, but Rex is a blowhard. And like skills in the chat here. What is Rex? 14 nerd boy? And Rockin' America says Mike McDaniel should call Rex Ryan feet boy. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good comeback. But of course, Rex has owned it. He is into feet. So but yeah, the get up thing, I understand why they're saying that. I think the Chiefs are kind of over Tyreek Hill. I would not be the least bit surprised if Mike McDaniel is fired at some point during the season, along with Chris Greer, and Tyreek Hill is dealt. I would say maybe the Steelers, because they need like another, a wide receiver too, and that would be pretty costly. But it seems like they're going all in for this season with all the veterans they have. Yeah. I would highly doubt that. If anything, the Chiefs would get Xavier Worthy back and Rashee Rice back and be happy with that. I doubt they pick up Tyreek Hill again. If anything, I think Tyreek Hill gets traded to the Steelers.
Okay. And also just go down the list of the guys on the Colts defense. They got dudes. Maybe
they do.
Maybe it's just me doing this thing where I just say the names and that automatically makes them a good or bad player. We do that. You say the name with a certain inflection, and you can make it sound like he's the worst player in the world. Josh Allen. Don't give me Josh Allen. What are you talking about, Josh Allen? See, did it right there.
Yeah, but that the fact that it's Josh Allen, you sound like an idiot when you say that.
I know. But I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to just start listing the names. But the names, pretty impressive when you go down the list for the Colts. In the secondary, obviously they added Cam Bynum, who had the celebration of the weekend. They got Kenny Moore. See it. Oh my God, he did some. You didn't see that?
Maybe I did actually.
All right, pull up game has to be strong here.
Okay.
But they got in the secondary. They obviously got Mooney Ward. Then they got Xavier Howard. Then Kenny Moore at nickelback. Then at linebacker they got Zaire Franklin up the middle. Then at defensive end they got Latu, and then Kwity Paye on the outside. Then on the inside,
you got an interception for a defensive lineman there.
And then you got DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart up the middle. You got dudes. And then you got this dude who we know what he did with the Vikings and created like a whole thing with them last year. But he's back.
Colts defense.
Oh,
damn.
Oh.
Andrew, I wish I could tell you what that dance is, but I am not familiar with that.
It's a little crab walk, but not really. I have no idea what to call that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's insane.
So
there you go. Yeah, Dolphins dealing with their shit right now, and Colts look like a pretty good team. Yeah, we talked about the Bengals briefly, but good for the Bengals to get a win, but they look like the same old Bengals offensively in a game come week one. Running game pretty good with Chase Brown. Joe Burrow threw a touchdown pass to Noah Fant, but I kind of wanted them to explode more offensively with how much they played in preseason. And they were lucky to win this game with the Browns kicker missing 2 field goals, the PAT and a missed field goal at the end there. Browns look pretty good defensively, I will say that, but not that impressed with the Bengals in their victory.
It's because of Myles Garrett, dude.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's just still. What the hell?
He's the best. He's the best.
What the hell is that? It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's just totally unfair. That dude can wreck a game. I can't even give you anything on the Bengals because there was a Myles Garrett problem. 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Guy was all over the field.
Yeah, but also I wonder at some point if he's still going to be like, yeah, I got my $40 million a year, but I did want to leave. There was a reason why I wanted to leave.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. The Bucks do enough to win. This game I was iffy on. I did pick the Falcons to win this game, but I just think that the Bucks are just going to be that team by default that wins the NFC South, and they just have the leg up on everybody else in that division. And Emeka Egbuka, without Chris Godwin for the first couple of weeks, maybe he comes back this week, but the touchdown to start the game, the touchdown to end the game, He looks like a good compliment to Mike Evans, and we'll see if this is Mike Evans' last season with the Bucks as his contract expires after this season. Bijan Robinson looking pretty damn good, as he always does. Michael Penix keeping him in that game with a couple of fourth down runs to just get the first down and then get the touchdown on fourth and goal again. But yeah, man, you thought that the Bucks won the game with the Emeka Ibuka touchdown, and then Chase McLaughlin misses the PAT. You think that Michael Penix is able to do enough to get him in field goal range, get him to overtime, but Younghoe Koo misses the kick very badly, and he's had his struggles for a long time now. So I wonder, they're bringing in kickers. I wonder if they'll waive Younghoe Koo, but very bad loss for the Falcons come week 1.
Cool thing to come out of the Emeka Egbuka situation was back in the national championship when Jeremiah Smith, they hit a deep ball to him and it was a touchdown. Egbuka was the one who dissected the play and said they need to run it. And Mike Evans shared a similar story towards the end of this one where I don't even know what this is from. It feels like it's not trustworthy just based on the way that it's written. So we'll just have to take its word for it. Maybe this is
that a Hondo article?
I don't know. But Mike Evans was very clear besides his post-game locker last night saying, quote, right before he caught that last touchdown, he wanted a post route. He said, I'm about to game one. We were in the huddle and he said, we need to run this certain play and I'm going to go game on the cornerback. And I was just like, maybe we do need to run it. And then literally he runs the post and touchdown next play. So you got a pretty savvy wide receiver there. It's kind of the same thing with like Ricky Pearsall and the way that he read that defense and said, look, they're going to be going after the double move. You got to call this play. I love that. And then it ends up being the game winner for the Bucs. They got one.
No, they definitely have one of the better wide receiver cores in football once Chris Godwin comes along, and they got other players on that team. Yeah, I mean, Bucks, I downplay them a lot, but they always win that division, so we'll see what they're able to do. And then just the other games, the Jaguars look like a better team. They look like a more competent team, and I think they're going to be pretty good offensively with Liam Cohen scheming things up. Travis Hunter looking pretty good, a couple of catches here or there. The reverse touchdown to Bryce Thomas Jr., that just shows Liam Cohen is, I think, that much better of a play caller than what Doug Peterson was. And Doug Peterson was very creative back in the day with Philadelphia, but it's a new day and age, and I just think that Liam Cohen is going to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. He looked comfortable, threw a bad interception later on in the game, but yeah, Travis Etienne running it very effectively too, and of course that led to a crowded running back room, and now Tank Bigsby is traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, so we'll see how that goes. But Bryce Young still looks like Bryce Young. Like he looked better as the season progressed a year ago, but still struggling. And I wonder what's going to happen with him and Dave Canales. So Jags win that game. Any thoughts on that game, Steven?
I got to be honest. No, I didn't even watch any highlights.
Fair enough. Broncos, they have a very solid defense. They made the game hell for Cam Ward in his first NFL game action in the regular season. I will say I was very, very underwhelmed by the Broncos offense. Yeah. I don't know what to make of them. I think at times they could explode. I still think that Bo Nix kind of has his hand held for him by Sean Payton, but a couple of bad interceptions thrown by Bo Nix, and I don't know what the hell Sean Payton was thinking at the end of that game. I don't know if you saw this, Steven, where they had a chance to kick a field goal to go up by 11. Yeah. And it was 20-12. And for some reason, inexplicably, Sean Payton goes for a play action deep throw, and it's incomplete. And I don't know what he was thinking. I would love to hear the explanation. I guess he just wanted to, win the game right then and there. But I would say Broncos look good defensively, even without Dre Greenlaw still dealing with that quad injury. Offensively, I really don't know what to make of them right now.
Yeah, and even with the Titans, how are we supposed to evaluate Cam Ward's rookie season when his offensive line is a sieve?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude gets sacked 6 times. Maybe that's the reason Brian Dable doesn't want to start Jackson Dart. It's like you want to put your rookie in the best position to be successful, and maybe putting him behind this offensive line doesn't make him successful, and that's why we're still going to go with Russell Wilson even going out of week 2. I think they've announced that.
Yes.
Yeah, underwhelming, but I don't know if this is going to be the Broncos offense for the rest of the year. Because
that's fair.
Even with that, this is one of those games. It's going to be like the 49ers and the Raiders. Even despite that, they still won it. So it's I think it's just on to the next week with them. I don't know if this is going to be just who they are.
And then lastly, the Arizona Cardinals beat the Saints 20-13. Look, I mean, nothing crazy from the Cardinals. I thought that maybe they would be a little bit more dominant, but they should have won this game, and they did. Spencer Rattler looked okay. I don't think any turnovers in this game or as far as interceptions. They could have easily tied this game up at the very end where Spencer Rattler threw a pass in the end zone. It was broken up, and then the second one and fourth and goal was broken up at the very end. So, yeah, I think the Saints are not going to be a very good team. If anything, I think they're going to be the worst team in football. Cardinals could be improved, but I'm not going to go off of anything in this game, really.
Yeah. Look, Kyler Murray's fun to watch, but I don't know what to make of this game either. Saints got good pass rush from it, but, Kyler Murray's just too good at scrambling. So, I don't know. They were just too dangerous, and their offense is just lost. But did you see Kyler Murray's pregame fit?
I did not, but I also know that he was dealing with some sickness before the game, throwing up in the toilet the night before.
I mean, just this like, I don't want to be anyone to judge an outfit, Derek, but just those pants, man, doesn't help himself.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. Like, Kyler Murray, that looks like an outfit Kyler Murray would wear. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like the shorts that go all the way down to like the shins. I mean, you're a small enough guy already, man. It's like you don't need he doesn't help himself.
Yeah, I know. But as I was saying, he was shitting and throwing up all night, so maybe he didn't think very, very properly when he was picking out his wardrobe.
Wow.
All right, and that's it from week 1. Anything else, Steven?
From week 1?
Or just in general, anything you wanted to get to? You got plenty of time on Saturday, but
it's been quite a week for spitting. How about that, huh?
Yeah. Jalen Carter got fined $57,000 today. But his punishment is just that, the fine itself, because the NFL thought that it was suspension enough for him to miss that game. Yeah. Which I wonder if Matt Chapman can use that argument when he's going to have his his hearing, I guess, in the next couple of days here before they play the Dodgers. Because he got suspended one game for the whole scuffle on the mound between Rafael Devers and Kyle Freeland. So if Matt Chapman misses a game, you don't want it to be against the Dodgers. That would suck. Yeah. But he also wants to play. And I wonder if I can use that argument. Just like I served my suspension by, being tossed out of the game before anything happened.
Dude. So I wasn't expecting that. Because Tom Pelissero went on NFL Network the next day and said, like, we have history of spitting, and the NFL just fines. They always fine with spitting. They never, ever suspend. And you kind of figure with the Dak Prescott, along with what you just mentioned, the suspension wasn't going to happen. It most likely was going to be a fine. You also saw it with a Florida player, and then you also saw it with Luis Suarez of Inter Miami. And because of his past transgressions, where he's known as one of the great Argentine players in the world, but also known for biting people in his whole career, whether it's back with Liverpool or in the World Cup, Suarez ended up getting a 6-game suspension from future League Cup matches and will miss the next 3 MLS matches for his team, which will hurt the playoff push for Lionel Messi and his squad. And that is all because I believe he spit on a ref.
Jeez. Well, yeah, that happens. And also, as Shaun of the Dead's mother says in the movie, he's a bit bitey.
He's a bit bitey. Oh, dude, that turns. I don't like watching that movie because she reminds me of my mom. Like, she just does.
Yeah.
Look. Yeah. They look exactly. I told
very, very much like Jenny. Yes,
it's a whole thing with when I watch that. I get very sad.
I know, but it's a great movie.
I also mean, I'm so mean. I've made like the joke where she turns into a zombie, and then I'm like, "Mom, it looks like you waking up."
I'm Steven.
Yeah, she hates that.
Yeah. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for tonight. We'll be back on Saturday. And, God, there's so much good coach sound that maybe we play next time we do the podcast or make the picks, because I don't know if you've seen all these clips, Steven, of the head coach of the Syracuse Orangemen, Fran Brown. This guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian, basically comparing Arch Manning wincing in a game and being asked about it with injuries, comparing it to reporters pooping. Bill Belichick basically going bitter old man and not allowing scouts to attend, and New England Patriots scouts to attend his practices is just on a different level. So maybe we play that sound next time and we get ready for week 2 of the NFL. And we thank all of you for watching tonight. I know the Giants are leading in this game, and it's going to go to the top of the 9th, so we'll let you guys watch that. To Rock a New Era, to Ernie 1, to Lauren F, to the Skills Report. What's up, Skills? To Otis Bird is the word. To Tacky for a little bit of time. To Pat H, to AJ Cruz, to Pigs 76. If there's anybody else that I'm not seeing, I apologize. We'll see you guys on Saturday at 11 o'clock. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man. Release the files.